two defenders, and there was two midfielders,
Yeah.
of which they were. So obviously when they came, I was one of the unfortunate ones that, became a bench player.
Yeah.
Along with that, in 1970, that was now 1970, the beginning of 70.
You were 18 at that
Yes,
point.
I had to go and do my national service.
Was it 2 years?
No,
1 year?
I was fortunate a year.
Okay.
So I had to go to Pretoria to services school, and obviously when I got into the army, I can, it's as clear as mud right now. When we arrived at services school, we were all put into alphabetical, let's say A to D, X to so and so, and I was sitting down in this queue, and it was a Wednesday afternoon. Now, a very good friend of ours, you know him well too, Gordon Chiseled.
Yes.
He was doing a 6 weeks camp at services school at the time, because he had done his service, I think, a year or two before me. And when he went for his 6 weeks camp, he still joked with me and said, when you come, I'm going to be there waiting. You've got to come play for our side.
Okay.
Anyhow, I was sitting there, and I was sitting with a good friend, Clive Cardinal, who came and did his service the same time as me. And all of a sudden, out the corner of my eye, I saw this guy that looked like a rank to me, but he was only a sergeant major. But when you first go into the army, you don't know what's a sergeant major, a captain or whatever. And I saw this guy walking with him in army uniform. And when I looked again, it was Gordon Chiseled. So they came along, and I saw them looking in the queues and looking up and down, and then Gordon spotted me, and he pointed out to Sergeant Major van Rensburg. That's the guy there. Anyhow, he came over and he said, hello, De Leur. And I said, hello, sir. I didn't know how to address him. And he said, stand up, it's easier to talk to you, because I was sitting down on my bag, my suitcase. Anyhow, he said to me, have you got boots? And somebody had said to me, whatever you do, don't own up to being a soccer player or take your boots out or whatever. Do as little as possible, and then you might stand a chance of getting back to Natal Command. I had taken boots with me, and I had boots in my case. And I said, no sir, I haven't got boots. And he said to me, let me see your case. And he opened my case and tipped it, and of course the boots fell on the floor. And I remember his words to this day. He said to me, listen son, he said, don't bullshit me, and I won't ever bullshit you. We'll get along fine if that's the way we conduct ourselves. And I said, I'm sorry. He said, look, bring those boots, leave the case with this guy, to Clive Cardinal. Come, let's go, we're running out of time. And then I found out that, of course, they were going to go and play against the Air Force gym. Now, apparently Air Force gym and services school used to boast about having the best sides in Pretoria. Big rivalry. So, yes, we got into a big Bedford. A lot of the other team members were there. There I was in civvies, and these guys were in uniform. We went to go and play. We played at Air Force gym. We beat Air Force gym. If I'm not mistaken, it was 2-1, quite a close game. And after that, because these guys, a lot of them were campers, 6 week campers, they knew where they could go and have a couple of beers afterwards. And I had to tow along with these guys. I finally got back to the camp, I think at about 10 o'clock that evening, not knowing where I've got to go to, where all my buddies that had travelled in the train with me were.
So from the first day?
Day one.
It was very relaxed, army days. I'll never forget my first day in the army. But that was 2 years.
It was day one. When that train pulled in at...
you wanted to go to Blue Waters Hotel, which is extension of
Yes, that's correct. I'll get to that story
You
now.
had a good time up there, it sounds like.
And so anyhow, they dropped me off at the camp, and I had to go and find my way. I eventually found where all the Natal boys were in what bungalows, and I managed to locate Clive Cardinal, who had my suitcase.
Yeah.
But they had all checked in already that afternoon, clear what they call
Make it
clear
sound
in
like
and
a
clear
hotel.
out. Yeah. They had got their trommel with all their blankets and their overalls and their boots and you name it, uniforms. I never had anything. I had to sleep in what I had. And it was in winter time. It was freezing cold.
Was it a June call-up?
June call-up. I shared a bed sleeping
Sure.
head to toe, toe to head with Clive Cardinal until the next day. So yeah, so I did my national service there. I played for Defence Force there.
Did you stay there the whole time for your national service?
No, I'm going to get to that now. When I came down on my 7-day pass in December, back to Durban.
After 6 months, more or less.
Yes, yeah. I had actually, concocted a story. There was a lot of truth to it, but there was also a couple of
White lies.
Yeah, a couple of white lies to it. And I had actually got my dad to write the letter that my mother was quite sickly at the time, and he was always travelling away from home, being in the building trade. And it would have been great if I could still be in Durban, close on call, because my older brother had moved here and my sister was married there, and I only had a younger brother who was he's 9 years my junior. And anyhow, that letter had gone through to the admin section, RSM, and I'd heard nothing. I came down here on 7-day pass, and when my time was up, I think I'd managed to wangle about 10 days. And when I went back, I took a whole lot of groceries, and I took, of course, a couple of 6-pack of dumpies for the boys.
The old castle dumpies.
Yes, yeah. When I got to camp, I walked in and I went to my bungalow, and the day that I got back, which was Sunday night, Monday morning was always inspection day. And when I got to my bed was all beautifully square made up.
With starch.
With, everything, all starch. And the 3-4 guys that I shared this bungalow with, they were sleeping on different beds, because their beds were made up for inspection. And the one guy who worked in the admin section, I said to him, "Hey, wake up, wake up." I woke these guys up. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a Joburg guy. And he said, hey, back here. And I said, "How's it going?" And he said, I can ask you that question. How's it been going there in Durban? I said, "No, great, lovely time. Good to see the girlfriend, your sweetheart." And he said, "You're never going to believe me what I'm going to tell you." I said, "No, but go ahead and tell me." He said, "Your transfer has come through." I said, "Don't joke." He said, "My transfer?" I said, "Okay. So if you've managed to organize my transfer, where's it to?" He said, "No, Hotel Command." So I said, "No, don't joke." He said, "I'm telling you." I spent the rest of the week, from the Monday to the Friday, clearing out, going to this, that store and that store, handing this and doing that and what have you. And that following, that weekend, the Friday and Sunday.
You got posted back to Durban.
Posted back to Durban.
So the rest of the 6 months was done here.
In Durban. So fortunately, because I was back in Durban, I could sneak out and go and train with City.
I was going to ask you that.
And there was the odd days that I could actually be available in the squad.
Yeah, on weekends.
Yeah, you'll find that there is 1 or 2 photos where I've got very short hair, no beard.
Is that this? When were you called up in 1970?
70, 71.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So you played half a season for City.
Half a season.
But like when you were here full time.
That's correct.
And then the rest of it you were like in between training.
So I had to then.
On your own.
Look, I lost out a lot, but I also gained in being back and training again with the squad.
Yeah.
So I cleared out the army in middle of 71, and then I was back in the squad.
Who do you remember from that squad? Do you remember? I've got some names here. Was your keeper Tony Macedo?
Tony Macedo, yes.
Bobby Cook?
Bobby Cook.
Stan Moreland?
Stan Moreland.
John Louch?
John Louch.
Dave Forsyth?
Dave Forsyth.
It was yourself, Johnny Byrne. Now, which Johnny Byrne is that? Budgie's dad?
That's
Budgie's dad
that's
or
John
Budgie
Byrne. That's John Byrne.
That's
Budgie.
John Byrne. So which one was in your side?
John Byrne, the international from England.
Was that Budgie who ended up coaching at Hillen?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Jim Scott?
Jim Scott.
Jim Scott, Ronnie Mann?
Ronnie Mann.
Willie. Now, what was his first name?
Willie.
Because I pulled this off the internet, but they didn't have his first name.
No, he was.
Are there any other players you remember? Because that was your starting
Yes,
11.
Andy Munn. Andy Munn was there. They brought out Ray Crawford.
Okay. You won the league from Cape Town City. You
Yes.
came by 3 points
Yeah.
at the end of it. That was when it's 2 points for a win, 1 a draw.
I'm just trying to think names of players then. There was Ron. He was a fullback.
Yeah. Maybe it'll come to you later.
Yeah.
Now, Durban City, there were so many players in there. In the 10 years, you were one of the longest serving, if not the longest serving player, together with, you said Bobby Cook.
Bobby Cook, yes.
And there's so many of the players there, so many legends in their own right. Did anyone stand out for you? I mean, it's maybe not fair asking you for names, but...
Sorry, we left out the great Johnny Haynes.
Johnny Haynes.
Johnny Haynes was there, yes.
Was he in your side then?
Yeah, Johnny Haynes.
Didn't you say he's one of the best players you've ever played with?
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly.
What was special about him, Brummie?
His ability to pass a ball and put it on a tiki.
With both feet.
Both feet. He could spray passes. He could read a game. He, at that stage, was 40 odd. 40, he could have been 42.
Oh.
42, 43.
He was doing so well at that age.
And one thing that stood out about him was if you were passing a ball to him, it had to be 100%. There was nothing less. Because he wouldn't move 1 meter to his left or 1 meter to his right. He wanted it on his feet.
He demands the same excellence
Just
that he
like
wanted.
he would lay a ball off. So yeah, the great Johnny Haynes. Then of course there was Johnny Byrne, Budgie Byrne up front. Oh, what a striker he was.
Played for West Ham in England.
He was incredible how he could hold a ball up for a short guy. He could hold centre halves off, he could chest the ball down, take it dropped onto his foot, play it here, play it there, peel and go.
Was he quick?
He was over 15 yards, quick. And he was also in his 40s, early 40s, late 38, 40.